Hey, what's up, blue collar business owner? Welcome back to the Blue Collar Prosperity Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Maska, where we focus on helping guide you to have a prosperous blue collar business. Today, we have with us Brandon Lazar. He is a seasoned entrepreneur and strategic visionary with over 15 years of dedicated experience in the home service industry. In 2023, Brandon successfully sold his exterior cleaning business, achieving that seven-figure sale. He is known for his innovative management approach, including implementation of performance pay and virtual assistants to boost operational efficiency. After his successful exit, Brandon founded NinjaVA and BonusUP, two dynamic companies at the forefront of providing virtual assistant services and revolutionizing performance pay software. So that is Brandon Lazar. Welcome, Brandon. Super excited to have you here. What is going on today?
Paul, thank you so much for having me. I'm blessed and honored to be a part of the conversation here. Really looking forward to it.
I am as well, especially because I feel like a lot of times in the home service space, we're always like 20 years behind everybody else. So when you talk about having people on, using VAs in the home service space, it's like that was talked about like 20 years ago for other industries, but now it's really coming kind of mainstream, and people in the trades are like, they're kind of okay with their people not sitting in their office. So let's dive into kind of going back to when you started 15 plus years ago. How did your journey in the home service space start?
I mean, I come from humble beginnings, right? Like literally, I was on a summer break at college. I was studying business, and basically one of my buddies said we should try and clean some windows. And with that idea in mind, and mom's borrowed minivan and a ladder strapped to the top, a couple magnet decals, we were off to the races. And what was cool about that is, I was 17, 18, 19 years old, not exactly sure. But as long as I had enough for tuition in the fall, then we were all good. So it's like make $5,000 and you're in the clear. So it was really cool in order to start that way.
That's awesome. So did you finish college? What was kind of the next step from doing that kind of on the side to pay for tuition? Where did you go from there?
Yeah, well, what was cool is that was my first year of business studies. And then ultimately, like this business continued to grow and scale. And what was different about me in that classroom is I had something real world to apply what I was learning to like the outside world. And by the end of it, what was kind of ironic, I got a C in my entrepreneurship class, yet I was sitting in that class and I was making more money definitively than my entrepreneurship professor. So kind of ironic.
That is awesome. So obviously last year, we're recording this in 2024. So in 2023, you achieved that exit. What are a couple things you can attribute to? Because I know pretty much everybody listening to this podcast, they want to exit their business at some point, whether it's put a GM in place and, go live on the beach, put their kid in place and they don't have to worry about it, or sell it to somebody else. What are just kind of like a few kind of like benchmarks or a few like aha moments that you had as you were scaling up to get to that, that exit you were looking for?
Yeah, great question. So first off, whether or not you want to sell it right now, things can change. And regardless of how you're currently feeling, I think you should still orient yourself and conduct your business in a way that would allow you the opportunity to sell it at some point in the future, right? So where my mind goes on that basis is we got to talk about systems. We got to get the stuff out of your head, making you the bottleneck and the necessity for absolutely every square inch of your business. And we need systems in place. Not only are they going to make you more efficient, more streamlined, but ultimately it's going to contribute to potentially one day a higher value exit when or if the time comes.
Yeah, and that's such a huge, that's a huge point, because if we're going to do something more than once, we should probably have a system or process in place to never have to really deal with that again. A great book, obviously, I know you've read it. Built to Sell is just a great book for anybody out there listening to. You could digest it in a couple of hours, but it really kind of gets you in the mindset of, we need this thing to be sellable, even if we don't want to sell it, because that means it can survive and thrive without you. So you can, do what you really want to do in life and leverage that business to do it. So let's fast forward to today. You're working virtualist, you're helping, home service business owners, blue collar trades, leveraging VAs to get where they want to go. How did you get to the point, even in your business? I would assume, and maybe I'm assuming wrong, but I would assume you're using VAs in the business you sold, which then brought you to where you are today now with Ninja VAs. How did you kind of get to that point of like, okay, I think we can do this, and then actually go do it?
Yeah, 100%. And like basically it's kind of an emotional story. I remember it quite vividly. I was literally in this same office space that I'm coming to you from right now. And we had four full-time CSRs that were answering calls, sending, receiving emails, working on company CRM, dispatching crews, etc. And we would go from 2 technicians in February to 32 technicians in May every single year. It was absolutely chaos. And the awkward thing is our office had to do that same expansion trend. And ultimately, we got to the point where I just felt like things were so clunky. And ultimately, we're paying 22 to 25 bucks an hour for this person to sit in an office. I'm providing a workstation. We're paying government burdens on top, which is another 20% on top. And I remember the day clearly. I was overhearing a conversation happening in my office because, as you do as the owner, you're kind of, it's like that sleep with one eye open, but like work with one ear open, right? And I remember hearing a kind of a confused tone coming in on a call nearby. And of course, I'm kind of a little more sensitized to it at that point. And what had happened is a member of the community, not one of our customers, was calling in to say, we have crews on their roof cleaning out their gutters or cleaning moss off their roof, whatever it is. And they don't know who we are. They didn't order this service. So we were literally cleaning the wrong home. And as you can imagine, your heart just sinks as an owner because like this is your baby. And here we got this display of incompetence to the community. And it was very frustrating, but what was even more frustrating was literally that was the second time that week that we were cleaning the wrong property. So at that point, I just knew, things got to change. This is not sustainable. I feel like I'm overpaying and getting under delivery. And that's where we basically started to dip our toes in the water in the world of VAs in order to take off a bunch of this administrative legwork.
That's quite the story. So let's dive into that. I promise you probably hear it every day. There's plenty of people listening like never using a VA. Then there's some people thinking like, what can they do? There's other people like, I would never let them do this. What can a VA do in a home service business? What are like, based on your experience, what are some of the best ways we can leverage a VA starting today or tomorrow to really start, getting our business where we want to go, not only from a systems and processes standpoint, but obviously it's going to help with our bottom line as well.
Yeah, well, in my experience, like from that moment forward, I actually did the really unfortunate task of having to terminate 4 individuals that were here locally because, again, it just was not effective. It was not working. And that's where we fully transferred over our administrative requirements over to virtual assistants. So in the end, in my experience, this product comes from the trenches. Like I practiced this. We had our VAs answering inbound and outbound phone calls. We had them working the company CRM, creating clients, creating quotes, dispatching crews, scheduling, etc. We had them even quoting over the phone for some more trivial type tasks. And it was all email management as well. Even over like the busy times of COVID, when it was really hard to get technicians to sign on board because they're getting incentivized to stay at home, they were actually helping me to work through my technician pipeline to try and hire, going from 2 technicians to 32 technicians. So really, there's an endless amount of things that a VA can do. And the idea that they're not physically here, in my experience, just really does not prove any lack of ability to be effective.
So next question on that then, Brandon, is, okay, this is great. They can do everything. They can do calls, they can do CRM, they can quote over the phone, email management, they can help you push people through your hiring pipeline, but they don't know your business. They don't know the trades, all the things you hear every day. How do we start getting them on board with what our company does, what our company values are? How do we actually answer the phone? How do we actually book things? How do we dispatch things? How do we start getting them on board, teaching them, training them, and really integrating them into the team?
Yeah. So to kind of our earlier point there, like ideally, if we have some sort of documentation or a learning management software or any sort of resource that can bring them up to speed in kind of call it the DNA of your company, I think obviously that's very advantageous. If you're like, no, don't have any of that, then I'd say let's use this as an opportunity to really standardize and systematize a bunch of these things. What I always make recommendation to our new clients who are getting started with their VAs is the very first day you're starting training and onboarding, preface the conversation saying, okay, Susie VA, it's great to have you on board. What I need you to do is create the standard operating procedures for everything we're about to show you. This does three things. Number one, it shows me there's a high level of comprehension. Number two, it acts as quick reference material for them so that they don't have to keep coming back to me to ask questions about something I've already taught them. And number three, it increases the value of your company. A company that's fully systematized front and back just has more value. Not only are you able to accomplish more in the way of bandwidth and revenue, but also in the eyes of a potential investor, that's going to be way more enticing to them.
Yeah. And the thing I love most based on what you just said is it really forces you to put the standard operating procedures in place. Because a lot of times when we hire people in our physical office, we don't have standard operating procedures. It's just like, go sit with Judy for 2 weeks, watch what she does, and then tell me when you're ready, and then go do it. And then that doesn't work. Judy's not a good trainer. Judy's getting annoyed because Judy's got a job to do. And then the new hire is annoyed. They're frustrated. They don't know how to be successful. And then they leave, and it's this revolving door. Whereas when you have these VAs, whether they're in the Philippines or somewhere else in the world, it's really going to force us to put those SOPs in place so that they can be successful. And I love the idea of saying, hey, this is what we do. I want you to create the SOPs. Now it makes your life even easier because you have somebody else creating those SOPs. So when we're onboarding these people, to me, that could be another, if we don't do it right, could be another pain point. When we onboard somebody in a physical location, it might be a little bit easier because we can physically sit with them, talk with them, go over all the boring stuff, take them out to lunch, do all the things we do. But when we onboard a new VA to our team, what are some of the best practices that you have found out there that, really get that person integrated, bought in, and on board with where we're going?
Yeah. So I would say we got to set up the structure properly to facilitate a relationship, right? So where I go with that is we need some sort of group messaging application, be it WhatsApp or Slack or Voxer. Like there's literally 100 of them out on the market these days. What we don't want to do is revert just to text messaging because obviously going international, that doesn't work too well. It's a little bit impersonal too, where with a lot of those other providers, you can do like video calls, you can send images, doesn't matter if you're Android or iOS, etc. So I'd say start there. I would also say leverage the power of what we're sharing right now, a Zoom call, right? You're going to get really proficient with Zoom. And ultimately through Zoom, you can share your screen. And ultimately, if you're already doing admin work, it would be great if you could just share your screen, and even through process of osmosis, they're just watching over your shoulder, even though they're not over your shoulder physically, and they can start to soak up the process, the procedures, and again, the DNA of your company.
Love it. And technology makes it so much easier. But I think what also makes it easier is when you hire these VAs, that's what they're used to, right? They're used to being a virtual employee, virtual team member, whatever it is. Whereas if we hire somebody in the States and we don't have that physical place, and it becomes a little bit more disconnected. Whereas the VAs, that's what they thrive in, that's what they like, that's what they do. So
I would also just add to that too, that like they're creating the same thing you are. We're looking for a long-standing individual to join our team that can contribute in a meaningful way. And they're looking, obviously, from the flip side, it's not fun looking for jobs or new employers or whatever. So they're looking for something that's long-term and sustainable as well. So we're all kind of aiming for the same target in the end of it all. So it does fall in place quite easily.
Love it. So now let's kind of fast forward to where we're at today, Brandon. You've given everybody a ton of actionable advice, basically how to use VAs to scale your business, make it more efficient, standardize it, systematize it, all the things. But then it becomes to the question of, well, how do I find these VAs? Because I don't have time to do that. So obviously NinjaVA helps facilitate that. Walk me through just what NinjaVA does, 30,000 foot level. I own a landscaping company and I want to start bringing in VAs as I scale. How does NinjaVA make that easy for me?
Yeah. So I'd say high level perspective, we are your real estate agent when it comes to the world of VAs. We want to keep you on offense, go sell another big job or hire a rock star technician, focus on those value creating exercises and activities in your company. And we'll take care of the nitty gritty of vetting, filtering down, doing initial interviews, and ultimately providing you with some 1 in 200 level candidates. So that's kind of the first thing we're doing. The second thing is we have really cool software. So you can literally see when they're online. You can see live screen grabs of what they're currently working on. you basically even pay through credit card through the website, and auto magically, we call it, they get paid to their bank in the Philippines. So you just don't have to do any of the nitty gritty. And then I think the highest value thing that we bring to the table is this product came from the trenches. We've been there and done that in the home services and trades. So if at any point you have an issue happening with your VA and you want us to step in, facilitate, to coach them, what have you, we're here. We're just a text message away.
That's awesome. I'm guessing the next question a lot of people have is and we're not going to hold you to this, but average pay for a great VA that's going to be kind of our, if you want to consider it, office manager. They might answer the phone. They might send out some quotes in Jobber, House Call Pro. They might be doing the scheduling, kind of doing a little bit of everything that most business owners do, or most, businesses that have one person kind of doing it all in the office. What could we expect to pay somebody, say in the Philippines, to do this really well?
Yeah. So the cool thing about VAs, I'd say first and foremost, is generally speaking, a huge generalization here. You're going to get somebody on board who is meticulous, they're detail oriented, they're engaged, and they care about what they're doing. That was a real struggle to get to that point locally for me. And I felt like the bar was like, did you come in on time? And like, were you hungover? And that's really tough to build a business on. Whereas the bar is very high when it comes to working on a remote level out of the Philippines. The cool thing that obviously comes as well is you save a ton of money when you go this route as well. So in my experience, I saved $70,000 the year we converted from in-person admin over to overseas. So what that means, rubber meets the road, you're looking at $9 to $11 an hour. The vast majority of that goes right to the VAs. It also covers the credit card transaction fees, the weekly international payroll, and the ongoing support. So it's very efficient.
That's awesome. And I know there's people probably listening thinking like, well, that's not really fair. That's not really nice to those people. But just give an idea, insight into how good of pay, say in the Philippines, is $10 an hour. What can that do for them over there?
Yeah, so the cool thing is I've actually backpacked through the Philippines. It's a beautiful, amazing country. And that's what's cool about this entire mission that I'm on, is I'm here to help 1,000 entrepreneurs each save 1,000 hours of time. And we're doing that through giving out jobs in what is considered a developing country. If you're paying a virtual assistant in the Philippines between $9 and $11 an hour, they're making the equivalent of what a dentist makes over there. Like seriously, like a teacher can be literally $2 to $3 USD per hour. So these are actually highly coveted jobs, and they're very socially responsible.
That is phenomenal. And kudos to you for actually visiting. I know a lot of people who build a VA team, they go out there, say once a year, and go visit and have a big party and celebrate and build that team culture as well.
Yeah.
So that's super exciting. Last question I have for you. A lot of times we hear from brokers and people selling businesses and buying businesses that if most of your staff isn't actual employees, W-2 employees physically there, that might hurt the value of your business because these VAs could leave tomorrow. They're just contractors, da 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 da. How did that, when you went to go sell your business, did that have any impact? If so, what was it when potential buyers were looking at the team that you had constructed?
So I would actually say it had an effect to the contrary. Our bottom line was very, very strong as a result of deploying them. And I think any sophisticated investor is going to look at the bottom line first, and then, gradually get into, the higher level, like, well, preferentially, it'd be great if they were sitting in place or in the office, etc. But I think we actually address that concern in the best way possible, in that we're literally talking $9 to $11 an hour, all in. You don't even pay for sales taxes. You don't pay any burdens on top. So it's incredibly efficient, and that makes your business look more profitable.
Love it. If you were listening to the show, Brandon, and all the things that we talked about, we pretty much went over exactly what a VA does, how to do it, put the systems in place, how to pay them, valuation of your business, all the things that we talked about. We want our listeners to take action within the next 24 hours. If you were listening to the show, what can our listener do to move what's one thing they can do? Just one simple thing they can do to start moving their business forward to help get them to where they ultimately want to go.
Yeah. And like, I want to come across as genuine here. So like literally, whether it's through NinjaVA or it's another service, like start to look seriously into the idea of getting a virtual assistant on board. The whole concept here is, I think we know as entrepreneurs, we're trying to fill our calendar, our days, our hours with high value activities, right? Because if we're answering a phone, that's $10 an hour work. If we're going out to bid a monster job on a local hospital build, that's like $500 an hour work. So we got to really focus on the higher value activities. We also got to focus on the activities that bring us energy versus take our energy away. So that's a great thing to just offload those things onto a virtual assistant. I have a really cool guide, and that can be kind of the takeaway. It's ninjava.com/guide. We don't even need your email or anything. And that answers the question, what can a VA do in a home service and trades business?
Awesome. Go there, guys. NinjaVA.com/guide. Don't you have to sign up for it? It'll tell you exactly what they can and really help you do in your home service business. And I know a lot of business owners, even if all that stuff's taken care of, they use, I have buy back your time back here. Dan Martell talks about it a lot, but you can use VAs even just to make your life easier, booking your appointments, doing your email. There's so many ways we can leverage them to, to Brandon's point of getting our time back and focusing our time on high dollar, dollar per hour, dollar per minute type activities instead of doing a lot of the busy work. Brandon Lazar, thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your journey and providing actual advice for all the blue collar business owners out there as we continue on this journey to prosperity. Before we sign off, other than going to ninjava.com/guide, where is the best place for our listeners to connect to you? Is it social? Is it website? Where can they go to connect with you and learn more about NinjaVA?
Yeah, if you're interested in discovering more of what a VA can do inside of your company to save your time, bring you energy, etc., just go to ninjava.com, book a time. I have a calendar selector there. And even if it's just to talk shop, I'm very passionate about what we're doing. We do have a discount code set up, especially for your users. So there's a one-time placement fee. It's $9.95, and you can expect to break even inside of 2 weeks when you compare how affordable a VA is compared to, the expense of a local in-person. And if you input blue collar 100, that'll take $100 off that placement fee.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate that generosity, Brandon. Blue collar 100. So if you guys do sign up, use that code, save you $100. You'll get your money back even quicker. Brandon, thanks again for coming on the show. I really appreciate you diving in and sharing so much value.
Thank you for having me.